since 1970. I was on my way back home from Delhi after completing my master's degree in the University of Delhi. I stopped in at Bangalore to see my friend Mr. Sambamurthy, N. Sambamurthy, who was then doing his associateship in DRTC. Sambamurthy suggested that I meet Professor Gopinath and Professor Neelamegan. He personally took me to both and introduced me. He also took me to Professor Ranganathan's house and left me outside the gate and walked away. I went in for a few minutes to pay my respects to the great teacher. It was only a very brief meeting that I had with both Professor Gopinath and Professor Neelamegan on that occasion. But I was surprised when the very next morning I received a call from NAL, National Aeronautical Laboratory at that time, asking me to visit and file an application for a position in their library. I was told that Professor Gopinath had called Mr. Sitaraman of NAL and had spoken about my looking for a job in Bangalore. I had met Gopinath only for a few minutes the previous day, and that was my very first meeting with him. And here he was going out of the way to help me. That was Professor Gopinath's nature, to help everyone he met. This was one of his traits that endeared him to everyone in the profession. It will not be an exaggeration if I say that there was hardly any member of the profession of my generation and the next generation, especially in the state of Karnataka, who had not been helped in some way by Professor Gopinath. And a year later, after briefly working in Delhi, I moved to Mysore. And during my days in the University of Mysore, and even later after moving to Chennai, I used to be a very regular at the DRTC annual seminars, especially so between 1971 and 79. And I got to interact with Gopinath and seek his advice. It was he who helped me register for PhD with Professor Neelamegan as my supervisor, even amidst very stiff opposition from some of my senior colleagues in the University of Mysore. It was also Gopinath who guided me in my doctoral research when Professor Neelamegan had to leave for Philippines on a UNESCO assignment. Gopinath was one of the members of the advisory committee appointed by the University Grants Commission when Madras University Department of Library and Information Science became the first library science department in the country to receive UGC recognition as a department for special assistance under its SAP program. He attended every meeting of the SAP advisory committee and was a world of help in suggesting directions for the department's growth. Another occasion I vividly recall is the IASLIC conference held at Instock, New Delhi in the 1980s. I don't remember the exact year now. One afternoon during the conference, Gopinath accompanied me and Ratnakar to visit Professor B.S. Keshavan at his Anand Lok residence. We spent a few hours there, and Keshavan recalled how Gopinath and Haravu had helped him in running a seminar when he had practically run out of resource persons. When I moved to DRTC in 2005, Gopinath was very happy. He had by then moved to United States, but on his return to Bangalore, he was staying very close to my house, and he would call me at DRTC and ask me to bring him reprints, photocopies of some papers. I would drop by at his place on my way home to hand over the documents he had asked for and would chat with him for a while. The discussions were always on subjects of professional interest. He continued to be active, editing the SRELS journal, and had literally written scores of editorials for the journal. His contributions to library and information science especially to classification and knowledge organization, are only too well known to the LIS community. It is indeed very difficult task to catalog his research contributions in a brief talk such as this. That Dr. Ranganathan chose him to be his research assistant after becoming National Research Professor speak volumes of the capabilities of Professor Gopinath. He had been an outstanding researcher and an even greater teacher. When Arthur Maltby chose to bring out a volume on developments in classification in the 1970s to write on colon classification, Gopinath was the obvious choice. His two papers, one in the first edition of the book and the other one in the second edition, classification in the 1970s, a second look, edited by Arthur Maltby, speak volumes of his capabilities. I still recall his visit to the Department of Library and Information Science during 1973 to deliver a few lectures to our school. He practically spoke from morning 10:30 a.m. till 5:30 in the evening with just one brief lunch break. His capacity to keep the audience interested even for long hours was tremendous. Gopinath was a wonderful human being. During a UNESCO workshop we had organized in Chennai for newspapers and the media industry, Gopinath was the Rapporteur General on the suggestion of Professor Neelamekhan and Dr. John Rose. As his visit to Chennai for that particular workshop was confirmed in the very last minute, I could not arrange his stay in any guest house. Gopinath stayed with us in my house for 5 days. We were exposed to the other side of Gopinath during that stay, his very friendly nature and his excellent sense of humor. Teachers and researchers like Professor Gopinath come by only very rarely, and it is for the present and coming generations of library and information science professionals to carry forward the legacy set by such torchbearers as Gopinath. I thank Kala for giving me this opportunity to say a few words about my mentor, Professor Gopinath. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much, Dr. Raghavan. Professor Raghavan spoke very well about Dr. Gopinath, and many of those instances also we have experienced in our life, coming in contact with Dr. Gopinath. Okay, Dr. Krishnamurthy, you can continue.
Okay. Dear friends, today's speaker, as you know very well, that is Dr. B.M. Meera, student of Professor M.A. Gopinath. She did PhD under Professor M.A. Gopinath guidance. Now I would like to introduce Dr. B.M. Meera for this audience. Dr. B.M. Meera is currently working as the librarian at the Raman Research Institute. She has rich experience of managing academic libraries involving digital information retrieval systems. She obtained MLIC from University of Mysore 1982 and PhD from Bangalore University in 1998, supervisor Professor M.A. Gopinath. Before joining RRI, she served at the Indian Statistical Institute, Bangalore for 24 years and Central Machine Tool Institute, Bangalore for 3 years. She has published around 20 research papers in national and international conference. She has visited many countries like Singapore, China, Italy, France, and Sri Lanka in her professional capacity. She was the Vice President of Karnataka State Library Association for the term 3 years from 2013 to 2016. She is on the editorial board of Sardar Ranganathan Endowment Library Science Journal of Information Management. She is one of the editor of the S.R. Ranganathan Classics 1, and the title of the edited book is The Science and the Profession of Libraries, a visionary's perspectives. Also, Dr. B.M. Meera has delivered more than 50 invited talks and participated in panel discussion. She has organized many events for the benefit of LIS community. She was on the advisory committee of many national and international conferences. She is also a resource person in many representative programs and academic events. She has guided few MPhil students. She plays major role in conducting outreach activities to promote science education and education through her parent organization. Dr. B.M. Meera is a recipient of the Award of Excellence on the occasion of International Women's Day in 2010, organized by Chambers Academy and Public Relations Council of India in association with Al-Amin Institute of Management Studies and International Business School, Bengaluru, for outstanding contribution in the field of academics and information science. Dr. B.M. Meera is a recipient of Granthalaya Seva Puraskara in honor of excellent library service by the Department of Public Libraries, Government of Karnataka for the year 2017. So like this, our CV goes around 10-15 pages. I have abstracted this. With this, a short introduction. Now I would request Dr. B.M. Meera to present a talk. Over to Dr. B.M. Meera.
Thank you, Dr. Krishnamurthy. Dr. Meera, thank you. You can start your program.
Okay, can I start?
Yeah.
Yes.
Am I audible?
Yes.
Yes, yes. Go ahead, ma'am.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. Particularly many seniors I am seeing here today. I thank all of them for participating in this particular talk of mine. And thanks to Dr. M. Krishnamurthy for his kind words of introduction. I consider it as a great privilege and honor to get this invitation to deliver a talk under the banner of Professor M.A. Gopinath Endowment Lecture Series. I thank Karnataka State Library Association, particularly Professor A.Y. Asundi and Professor M. Krishnamurthy for extending this invitation. I also would like to thank Subhash Reddy, who has coordinated this Zoom meeting. I am a life member of Karnataka State Library Association for the past 32 years. And I was also a vice president for a term of 3 years, which was told during my introduction. And I was also an executive member for a period of 3 years. While holding these portfolios, I had many interactions with our members from whom I have greatly benefited. I had ample opportunity to meet many stalwarts of LIS field and to learn a lot from their experience. My association with Kala has helped me grow in my profession. So I am always thankful to Kala for this. I was invited to deliver this talk sometime in early January 2020, but for various reasons, it got postponed to March 15th, 2020. Due to the outbreak of Corona pandemic, even that could not happen. So finally, thanks to webinar culture, and we are now here virtually meeting. Now, I wholeheartedly thank Kala once again, mainly because it is Professor M.A. Gopinath Endowment Lecture. I have known Professor M.A. Gopinath since 1987. I was introduced to him when I joined Indian Statistical Institute as a library assistant on 2nd February 1987. Although I heard about him, he was already a towering figure in those days. He was a great professor. I had not met him earlier. And he was very kind and very soft-spoken. I was quite young at that time, but he treated me almost like a friend of his. Within a year or so, he became head of our center, that is ISI Bangalore Center, and I got an opportunity to work under his leadership. In 1989, I registered for my PhD program in Bangalore University under his guidance. Thus, he became my supervisor and mentor for my doctoral work. He had great memory, amazing memory. He would guide me to a particular page in a particular book whenever he had to find some reference and all that. I have experienced this on many occasions and not once or twice. He was a great teacher. He was well versed in most of the disciplines of LIS. So I am privileged to pay my homage to Professor M.A. Gopinath, my guru, with all my pranams to him. Gurubhyo Namaha, Acharya Devo Bhava. I would like to proceed with my talk. The topic of my discussion today is science scholarship and digital archiving and beyond. I do not need to dwell into science scholarship. I am sure all of you know very well what it is. The knowledge created upon doing scientific research is known as science scholarship. It can take any form like publications, patents, technical reports, etc. To preserve these products of science research, IRs are created, that is institutional repositories. Using our IR as a base, we at Raman Research Institute have built two web-based information products. One is prequel and the other is a sequel to it. I will talk about both of them, but focus of my presentation today is on the sequel product. So this is the preamble that I would like to share with you all. We would like to show, I'm here with showcasing the importance of digital archives in managing science scholarship in a research institution. How institutional repositories can be used as a springboard to go much beyond their intended utility is the focus of my attention. So with this little brief preamble, I would like to just let you all know what is digital archiving. Digital archiving is a process of building digital repository, and it could be done by an institution or by an individual for the purpose of keeping it for posterity. What kind of materials can go into digital archives? It could be printed document, it could be text, or it could be in the PDF format, it could be images, audio and video files, and now even three-dimensional artifacts are also finding their place in digital archiving. This is all done for the purpose of providing long-term access. And how are these material created? It could be either digitally born. Whatever has happened in the last 30 years are generally created digitally. That is, they are called as born digital. Whatever were created before almost 30 years had to be converted from analog to digital format. In the last 3 decades, we have seen that there has been an extensive digitization activities, which has helped in bringing the wealth of traditional form of information. It could be scientific, it could be cultural, it could be educational, that were residing within the 4 walls of libraries and also museums into digital format. So with this, I would like to take you all with a very quick tour of our digital repository, which is acting as our digital archive. So this is our digital repository. This was built in the year 2006. So we have almost crossed 14 years as of now. The basic purpose was to showcase the heritage and culture and scientific achievements of Sir C.V. Raman, who is one of the very well-known scientists of the genre. He is the one and only Nobel laureate even today in India who has received Nobel Prize for Science performance. So there was a lot of material which were published in newspapers, and we had to showcase them for the entire world. And also he had published more than 500 papers during his scientific career. He started, his first paper was published when he was hardly 16 years old. And he continued to publish until his demise in the year 1970. So in the process, he has published more than 500 papers. So we had to find a place to showcase them to the entire world. And also a lot of scientific research had happened in RRI during his time from 1948 to 1970, and a lot of students worked under him. So that also had to be showcased. With all this intention, this particular archive, actually it was started with about 7 communities and there were about 1,600 records. But in the recent past, we have grown to include almost 19 communities. Later, we started adding even our current research work and also Gandhi Memorial Lecture Series. We started adding audio-visual files. We started adding even images. I am told that there are about 10,000 pictures of Sir C.V. Raman. So far, we have scanned about 3,000 pictures and uploaded them in this particular repository. So this is a very robust digital archive that we have in our possession. So with this brief introduction, now I will take you to the next slide where we will get to know about variety of archival material that we have in our possession. So now you are here, I'm sure you all are seeing one first picture. It's a Nobel Prize ceremony photo of Sir C.V. Raman. This is a prized possession of our archive. This ceremony was held on 10th December 1930 at Stockholm. I'm sure, I hope, can you make out that there is a person with the turban-clad person who is Sir C.V. Raman seated in the ceremony. Like this, there are many photographs of Sir C.V. Raman captured on many important occasions. During National Science Day celebrations, that is 28th of February every year, we generally get a lot of requests for his photographs, video clippings, his portrait photographs, etc. So our digital archive has become handy in our outreach activities. Second picture on the right, I'm sure you are able to see that. Sir C.V. Raman was invited to inaugurate the second International Saloon of Pictorial Biography in Bangalore. In that meeting, it seems, he said, after all, photography was a science besides being art. So the caption is aptly put in this caricature, put it as, he sees science everywhere. So this is a newspaper clipping which appeared in Deccan Herald on 8 September 1949. Like this, we have many clippings with very heavy archival value, thus showing the importance of digital archiving. Below, I am just showing the growth of our RRI digital repository. And in the last 12 years, we have grown from 1,600 records to hold almost 10,000 records. Next. Now, I have one more evidence to give you all about the importance of archiving. This is a testimonial that RRI has received from PMO. Right side, you can see that there is a manuscript. This manuscript is handwritten manuscript of Sir C.V. Raman. During our Honorable Prime Minister Narendra Modi's visit to Germany in 2015, PMO requested us to send them a reproduction of some of the manuscripts, and that was gifted to German Chancellor Angela Merkel because Raman had a very strong scientific connection with Germany. So this was duly acknowledged by PMO by stating that reprinted from archives of Raman Research Institute. This shows the importance of archives in a science institution. So with this, I would like to actually now get into my actual presentation. Using this digital repository or digital archive as a base, we have gone beyond to build a novel information product called as Imprints Collection, which is basically a biobibliographic database. We have two of them. One is a prequel and another is a sequel. As I have already mentioned, my focus is here today on the sequel. However, I will be taking you through a tour of prequel also. Before I actually make my presentation, I have a small story to narrate. I happened to visit Kerala. I was participating in a Kerala State Library Association conference in the year 2011. Chief guest was Honorable MP Shashi Tharoor, and key invited speaker was one of the IAS officer who was secretary to the government. Of course, Shashi Tharoor's speech was excellent. He covered all aspects and he finally ended with a very good note to information professionals, which was followed by the keynote address. The keynote address, the IAS officer, I don't remember his name exactly, but he appealed to all the librarians who had assembled there to build a database for teachers. He said that he gave an example why it was required. There was a function which was organized to unveil the bust of a very well-known teacher in Kerala on Teachers' Day. To make this honor, a state minister was invited. So he was supposed to be given a script so that he can talk about the famous teacher. But absolutely there was no information about the teacher at that point of time. Absolutely nothing. Nobody knew what was the kind of contribution that he made to education. But for his name, nobody knew where he was born, where all he worked, nothing. So in this context, they really realized the importance of building a database of teachers. So they were on that mission, and IAS officer again requested all the librarians to get into this information on a teacher. If supplemented with a photograph, will be a great value addition to build this database. So taking cue from this, I thought, why can't we do something similar? Because in RRI, we already had a culture of compiling all the works of a scientist and compile a volume and gift them at the time of retirement. All their papers would be meticulously bought into a volume and we would gift it to them on the day of their superannuation. So I just called all my colleagues. I told them if we can do something in this direction, because we already had a very well-built digital repository. So they all cooperated, and the end result is this imprints collection. So now I will very quickly show what is this imprints collection. So this is a database of our scientists who have retired from Raman Research Institute since 1970. So this is the title page. So far we have created this for 36 people. So very soon I will also find an entry here. Probably 37th name will be mine. Okay. So now with this, I will just quickly show. He is one of the very well-known professor from the field of liquid crystals. He is also known as father of liquid crystals. He was the first one to establish liquid crystals lab in RRI. I'm sure all of you know what is liquid crystal. Generally, we used to have this digital watches. So the technology that is used there is called liquid crystal. And this is very much used in BEL right now. So this is one of the technology which was extensively researched in RRI. So we built a profile page for him. So initially we give some information about the scientist, followed by his scientific work. This is followed by the fellowship, membership, awards, and distinction. And on the right side, quite similar to Wikipedia, we have brief information about the scientist. So here you can see the amount of awards that he has received. He is also a Padma Bhushan Award winner. On the left side, we have tabs. So when you click on the publications tab, it will take us to their publication page where you can see the entire list of publications. And these publications, one can actually get the text of the information because it is linked to our digital repository. And so when we actually click on the research guidance, you can find the list of people to whom he has guided. Even their theses are also accessible. He has almost guided 27 people during his research career. So you can also find photo gallery to bring out the memorable photographs of each individual scientist. So this is how the photo gallery looks. So you can see the photographs. One second. It came. So you can see the photographs. And also in the case of deceased scientists, we also have a column called obituary. Okay, this is only for the deceased scientists who have superannuated from Raman Research Institute. So this is a very, which has a lot of archives connected to all these. Also, we have researcher ID is also linked here. We have a badge embedded here. So this is the Web of Science badge, which is embedded here so that it takes you to researcher ID. So this is a fully fledged biobibliographic database that was created by us at RRI in 2012. So it is fully operational now, and this is the first in the series of our biobibliographic database. Now I will be talking about the second one. That is the sequel to this. Next. So this database is second in the series. This is built basically for 7 students of Sir C.V. Raman. So now I have a story to tell again. In 2014, A.K. Ramdas, Professor A.K. Ramdas from Purdue University visited Raman Research Institute. So he was brought to library also, and I was introduced to him. And one of my enthusiastic colleague, who was very happy about this imprints collection, which we had created for our superannuated scientists, she showed it to him. So he was highly impressed with that. And then he asked me, Dr. Meera, don't you think we also deserve this? Don't you think we also should become archival material in your database? Why don't you do one similar to Raman's students? I felt very happy that such a request came from such an elderly person, a very well-known professor who was a student of great Sir C.V. Raman. I had to think about it. Then the result is this. Now we have come up with imprints collection, Raman's Era. We thought of giving some other name, but somehow nothing apt worked out. So we called it as Raman's Era Imprints Collection. The very purpose of using the word imprints collection was that whenever they left this place, they have left an imprint of their scientific scholarship in the institute. That was the reason to give this particular name. So now I will give a brief history of RRI before I proceed. Raman Research Institute was started by Sir C.V. Raman in the year 1948 to carry forward his personal research. To quote, I have given the Raman's exact handwritten words. Why did he build this institute? It is not readable, so I will read from here. The Raman Research Institute was created by me in 1948 to provide a place in which I could continue my studies in an atmosphere more conducive to pure research than that is found in most scientific institutions. Please note, he says that conducive environment is not there in most scientific institutions. To me, the pursuit of science has been an aesthetic and joyous experience. The institute, meaning RRI, has been to me a heaven where I could carry on my highly personal research work. This is what he says when he actually created and built this research institute on this 20 acres land, which was gifted to him by Maharaja of Mysore for honoring his scientific achievements. So RRI looked like this in the left side picture in 1948. And the right side picture in 2020, this is how it is appearing at the main building. This is our main building. Now, coming to Raman's students. Raman had 7 research students who worked under his guidance from 1948 to 1970. During the almost after, for the last 10 years of this tenure, he really did not have any students. They almost worked from 1948 to 1960 or 62, I must say. So during that time, Council of Scientific Industrial Research started giving support for research scholars. And that was way back in 1943. So you can see that senior research scholar got 200 rupees per month. Junior research scholar got 100 rupees per month. But I think now it is ranging somewhere between 22,000 to 40,000 rupees. And there were 7 students, D. Krishnamurthy, A. Jairaman, K. S. Vishwanathan, S. Pancharatnam, A. K. Ramdas, S. Chandrasekhar, M. R. Bhatt. Totally, all of them put together, they have published about 99 papers. So all these papers are available in our digital repository. These are some of the pictures from our gallery. So left one he's D. Krishnamurthy, S. Pancharatnam, A. K. Ramdas, Padmanabhan, M. R. Bhatt, A. Jairaman, K. S. Vishwanathan, S. Chandrasekhar. Here, Mr. Padmanabhan was not his student, but he was one of the technical assistants who stayed with Sir C.V. Raman all along Sir C.V. Raman's life. Until 1970, even beyond that, he was very closely associated with Raman Research Institute. So this is another file photograph from our archives. And it was not easy to build this database. As I have already mentioned, this proposal came up in 2014, but we could not begin actually making this happen until 2016. We did not have much information other than only publications. We had to actually find ways to get information to build their profile pages. During this time, probably in some time in 2015 or so, Professor A. Jairaman, who was one of the first student of Sir C.V. Raman in RRI, visited India. He is a grand young man of 91 years. And he generally visits India to attend the music program at Chennai in January. So he came to Bangalore, and very sincerely, I was introduced to him. And in the process, I told him about this particular database, and I wanted his help. He was extremely happy to help us. And after that, probably successively 3 more visits he made. So we were greatly benefited by this. Even we did an oral history according of his, which is very, very nice. I have no time to share that here. And he gave a lot of information about the 7 students of Sir C.V. Raman. He also put us in contact with many people from whom we could get the information. And actually, he was the first student of Sir C.V. Raman to get his PhD degree from under the Raman's guidance. Among these 7 students, 4 are deceased and 3 are surviving. All the 3 surviving are currently residing at United States of America. One is Professor A.K. Ramdas and the other one is Dr. M. R. Bhatt. So we contacted them through email, and actually again Professor Jairaman helped us in these meetings. And then Professor A. Krishnamurthy's son, somehow through my contacts of Mysore, I was able to trace his son, Mr. Chandrasekhar. He was very enthusiastic. He personally visited Raman Research Institute. He gave us the photographs of his father and his friends and his colleagues at RRI. Some of the rare photos which we did not have were given by him. And he was very, very helpful in building this database. And we also got in touch with daughter of Professor K. S. Vishwanathan, Professor Sujata. She's currently working at IIT as a professor in mechanical engineering group. And somehow we also could trace her. We got in touch with her and got information about her father. And next is Mrs. Kausalya Ramaseshan. She is a family member of Professor Pancharatnam. Actually, she is also a family member of Sir C.V. Raman. Pancharatnam happens to be nephew of Sir C.V. Raman. Kausalya Ramaseshan, her husband, Professor Ramaseshan, was also a nephew of Sir C.V. Raman. So through these family contacts, we were able to get information about Pancharatnam, who is no more. I am told that always Sir C.V. Raman thought that Professor Pancharatnam will get into his shoes. He was identified as one of the person who was eligible or who was in the road to get a Nobel Prize. In fact, I am told that Pancharatnam was introduced to Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru during his visit to RRI by Raman, that he is a upcoming Nobel laureate. But unfortunately, he died very young at the age of almost 32 or 33 years in London. And this is the history. And finally, Professor S. Chandrasekhar. He was already associated with Raman Research Institute. We had ample information about him. There was no problem in building his repository, and we already have one, which I have shown in my previous database. So this is how we designed the imprints collection of Raman's era. So this database is called as imprints collection Raman's era. This information product has a unique style of representing the title page with a tree structure, which is designed using Dreamweaver software. So Dreamweaver is a proprietary software which is allowing us to create and develop the website. This is something which you say, what you see is what you get. Compatible software, which helps in seeing the results of formatting instantly, instead of using the markups for formatting. Preview of the site can be viewed locally. This particular software supports CSS and JavaScript and many other languages. Using this software, template for the website can be created, which can be modified and reused again and again. The title page is made interactive by using image map technique. So this is something called image map, which divides the regions into hotspots. And an image map allows a regular image to serve as a type of navigation system. All the links can be taken to the respective, from the previous page can be taken to the respective page related to those items. So here in this case, the image is a tree and a rectangular hotspots. I'm sure you can see the blue hotspots there. They were created to bring in the names of the students of Sir C.V. Raman, represented in blue color in this image. So I'll just skip this. This has some technicalities. So this is how the layout looks. So this is a title page, imprints collection, Raman's era. You go to main page. Over here, page. The very reason for using the tree structure was that we thought that Raman was a giant personality in science who sheltered and nurtured many scholars under his guidance. So he is like a big tree and branches are his students. This is how we conceived, we thought about when we gave this tree structure. Actually, he had more than 50 students if we consider right from his Calcutta days. He had many students when he was a professor and director at Indian Institute of Science. But we have now confined here only to the students of Sir C.V. Raman in Raman Research Institute. So this is the tree structure. So when you actually click on any one of them here, it will take us, it is quite similar to the previous imprints collection that you have seen. So he is Professor M. Krishnamurthy. So here we have little additional information. We have discussed about their earlier years at education, career at RRI, scientific RRI at RRI, and then scientific life after RRI is also given a brief description. We have also dealt with scientific work after RRI, after they left RRI, what did they do? That is also represented here, which makes it wholesome. And then we about membership, awards, and their hobby, everything is given here. Go to publications. Publication. So when you click on publications here, we have created publications from RRI and publications after RRI. That is because for publications from RRI, one can get full text access. Whereas for publication after RRI, we are not in a position, because we are not authorized, we do not have copyright to link those full text. So that is why we have demarcated. So research guidance is also there. And then it is interesting to see the photo gallery. So this is the photo gallery of M. Krishnamurthy. Run number. So run number. So it is interesting to see these photographs, very memorable ones. This we have used extensively. You can see Krishnamurthy getting guidance from Sir C.V. Raman here in this picture. This is with Jai Raman. This is a photograph of Mysore University. Young Krishnamurthy attending a conference. So this is again a picture from Mysore University. He retired from Mysore University as a professor of physics. Okay, go back. So this is how you can actually take a look at each one of them. They are very beautifully designed with all the memorable photographs and their achievements, and even within in RRI and after RRI, everything is being covered in this particular database. So with this, I would like to conclude by saying that Raman and his students have laid a strong foundation in Indian science scholarly world. Some of the papers published during 1948 to 1970 are still being cited. As I have already told you, that Pancharatnam face is one of the most popular article, which has got more than 300 to 400 citations and which is referred even today. Building a database with the well-defined novel features of the students of Raman is a small step in paying tribute to the hard work of each one of them almost 7 decades ago, when modern science in India was still in its infancy. This is an attempt. This is an attempt to unfold the history of science happened in independent India, a premier research institute in India. This is a value addition to the library services in a science library. I hope this biobiblical database of this kind with archive value engraved in them will be an important source of information in the years to come. With this, I would like to acknowledge Professor A. Jayaraman for his extensive help in building this database, Mrs. Kausalya Ramseshan, Dr. M.R. Bhatt, Professor A.K. Ramdas, Professor Sujata, Mr. Chandrasekhar, and all my colleagues at library. Without their help, I could not have done this. And finally, this is Sir C.V. Raman. Probably during his last few days, this photograph was taken. So with this, I would like to conclude my presentation. I would like to thank Kala once again. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Professor Asandi, sir.
Thank you, madam. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Questions?